Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the launch of the guidelines and portals for the Electronics Component Manufacturing Scheme of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India. Before we commence today's program, we will observe a minute's silence in memory of all those people who have lost their lives in the attack at Pahalgam. In a rapidly evolving digital age, electronics is one of the highest traded and fastest growing industries globally. As digitization continues to advance, the electronics industry is expected to play a pivotal role in shaping the global economy and advancing a country's economic and technological development. Since electronics permeates all sectors of the economy, it has cross-cutting economic and strategic importance. The Union Cabinet, chaired by our Honorable Prime Minister, approved the Electronics Component Manufacturing Scheme, ECMS, which was notified in the Gazette notification on April 8th this year. The scheme marks a watershed in the electronics component manufacturing segment in India. Its primary aim is to develop a robust component ecosystem by attracting large investments, both global and domestic, in the electronics component manufacturing ecosystem. Today, we are gathered here to witness the release of the Electronics Component Manufacturing Scheme's guidelines and the launch of the ECMS portal for smooth implementation of the scheme by none other than our Honorable Minister for Electronics and IT, Railways and Information Broadcasting, Shri Ashwini Vaishnaw ji. It is now my pleasure to invite Shri S. Krishnan, Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, to kindly present his opening remarks and welcome this august audience.
The Honorable Minister for Railways, Information and Broadcasting, and Electronics and Information Technology, Shri Ashwini Vaishnaw. My colleague on the dais, Joint Secretary in the Ministry, Shri Sushil Pal. Representatives of industry, including Shri Atul Lal of Elsina, Shri Pankaj Mohindru of ICEA, Shri Ashok Chandak of IESA, and Shri Sanjay Lodha of MeitY. Ladies and gentlemen who have come here and joined us in such large numbers this afternoon. The launch of the Electronics Component Manufacturing Scheme has been much awaited by the industry. This has been in discussion for a while now. You have contributed extensively to the design of this particular scheme. And the design and the intent of the scheme is fairly well known: to deepen value addition in the electronics manufacturing sector in India and to ensure that we are able to have a sustainable place in the global value chain which relates to electronics manufacture globally. Because electronics manufacture includes both the final assembly of various devices that we use and in addition a long chain, a supply chain of various components, materials and others which go into the electronics that we use on a day-to-day basis. Each aspect of this value chain has some relevance and importance. At the assembly end, many people tend to say that you're only assembling all of these devices which are used, but we need to remember that it's a labor-intensive process and provides close to 1 million jobs across the country, and some of the largest factory shop floors in the country are those which assemble these instruments. Therefore, that's a very significant part of what we are looking for in this economy. Equally, it is important that we don't rely only on that and we deepen the value chains in the country, and which is where components become important. The government has responded to a number of detailed reports on this subject, most specifically the report which was produced by the NITI Aayog in consultation in close coordination with MeitY on the global value chains relating to electronics manufacture. And of course, the report produced by the task force chaired by the principal scientific advisor, Professor Ajay Sood, which talked about how India could become a product nation. So part of that is being implemented as part of the electronics component manufacturing scheme. And in a number of ways, this is also extremely well timed in terms of how India can ride the opportunity of the present geopolitical scenario, where a possible shift in the value chains can happen again thanks to what geopolitics looks like today. So it is on that basis that this particular scheme has been well timed, and this is obviously a very anticipated scheme which is reflected in the presence of so many of you here today. We also have amidst the Managing Director of Invest India, Ms. Nivriti Rai, and Invest India plays an important role in mobilizing many of the prospective investors who will eventually come in and invest in electronics manufacture, electronics component manufacture in the country. This is a way in which we build the strength of the manufacturing ecosystem in the country. There is a national manufacturing mission which has been created, and around which detailed recommendations are expected shortly as to how it is to be operationalized. And in a sense, electronics manufacture, which today represents probably the largest single manufacturing sector in the world, is taking a front-running position in India's overall goal to increase the share of manufacturing in the country. So in that sense, today's event is particularly significant. It reflects the Honorable Prime Minister and India's basic goal of ensuring that the manufacturing ecosystem needs to grow substantially. We need to work with many of the stakeholders, the industry, of course, state governments, many other ministries and departments, because these electronic components are being manufactured not just for use in those electronics goods which come within the purview of the Ministry of Electronics and IT, but also medical electronics, automotive electronics, and various other consumer electronics which are administered in other ministries in the Government of India. So all these agencies, all the different parts of government need to come together to make sure that this is a successful program that we can actually work with, and this is a program which will firmly establish India as a electronics manufacturing superpower in the overall realm. Today, we have about 3% of the entire electronics manufacturing ecosystem in India, in the world, and we expect that this should go at least to 8% by the time this project and this particular scheme is fully rolled out in the country. So I welcome you all once again to this event, and I welcome you all to the implementation of the scheme. Your enthusiastic response of turning up to this event should reflect in the equal enthusiasm in your applying for the benefits of the scheme, and we expect to see many more applications based on which we can take the implementation of this further. There'll be a detailed presentation on various elements of the scheme, but let me just highlight one small element for all of you. This is not a scheme where it's first come, first served on who applies. It is a scheme where it is first come, first served on who completes and is able to claim the incentive. And I think that is something you need to keep in mind, because the speed really has to be reflected in how quickly you're able to set up your unit, manufacture, and claim the incentives under the scheme. That is the basis on which we'll move forward. So let me conclude there, and once again welcome the Honorable Minister and all the others who are present here today. and welcome you also to the implementation of the scheme. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I would now like to invite Shri Sushil Pal, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, to apprise the gathering here by giving a brief presentation on the Electronics Component Manufacturing Scheme.
Honorable Minister, sir, Secretary, sir, industry leaders on the dais, in the audience, leaders from the financial institutions, missions, and the associations. Although the scheme is already notified, so most of the information is already in public domain, but I'll just quickly go through the journey so far and what are the essential features of the scheme. It's driven by the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister to achieve the target of $500 billion production in the electronics by 2030, which would obviously imply that we have to produce to grow to actually export to the rest of the world apart from meeting our own domestic demands, and also at the same time to create the 6 million jobs from the electronics sector, along with increasing the female labor participation and also to make India a product nation. With that vision, the PLI large-scale electronics, rather NP 2019 was launched, which had 3-4 elements into it. So if you see this graph from the year in which the PLI was launched, you see, as our minister said, there's a kind of a steep rise in the electronic production. We have been growing at a more than 20% CAGR in the past few years, and our exports have also been rising steadily, which is, in fact, it grew almost 30% as compared to the last year, and it has become the third largest exported commodity from India. If you notice, the imports have also been rising proportionately, and that's largely, if we break down the import sector, then we actually see that the imports are largely the roughly 2/3 constitutes of the components, and the rest of it is the finished good. The import of the finished good and assembly, they have almost stagnated. They have not, and rather have slightly declined, but the imports of the components have been rising steadily. So it is to target this part of this ecosystem under the guidance of our Honorable Minister as well as Secretary Electronics. This scheme was designed to target so that we go on to kind of manage the imports and grow this ecosystem of manufacturing of the components within the country so that we make ourselves more resilient. The journey so far, just to inform all of you here, I think it all began with identification of the key electronic components. There was a detailed exercise analyzing the import and the export data of each of the electronic components from various geographies, and then we sat down and to actually gaze as to what is the import dependency of our on the various components. We even went down to actually analyze the bills of material of each of the target segment, which is a part of the scheme, which you see here. And this was done after intensive stakeholder consultation. We had multiple meetings within the ministry. We had one-to-one meeting with various companies. We made a few visits to the manufacturing facilities of the company, be it PCB or a lithium-ion manufacturing facility or a passive equipment. And as a result of which, we realized that it is not possible to cover a scheme with a single brush and provide one uniform incentive to all. And therefore, you see it's very differentiated and very targeted incentive, which is designed to actually cater to the disability of each of the products, each of the components separately. And we also engaged with the various departments. You heard Secretary saying that there was also an active consultation with MeitY in designing this scheme as well. I mean, you all know this, so I'll not. It's already been notified. The idea is to attract as much investment as we can in the components to increase the domestic value addition, and so that our electronics component manufacturer can actually become a part of the global value chain, because they actually constitute almost 75 to 80% of the global trade in electronics. This is broadly, it is already notified. I won't spend time on it. You people already know about this. The unique features of the scheme is one, it's again, I said, it's a hybrid incentive. It's not, I mean, it has got a turnover incentive, capex incentive, a mix of both as well. Is also linked to the employment. And it incentivizes the full supply chain of the target segment. I mean, I think this part needs to be understood more carefully, that say if one particular element, the capacitor, is being incentivized, then the complete supply chain of the capacitor till the last mile. I think that is being covered under the scheme, except the raw material part. And apart from this, it also supports the capital equipment, manufacturing of capital equipment, as well as the sub-assemblies of these capital equipments, and is intended to promote the domestic value manufacturing, domestic value addition. The scheme also provides for localization of a certain processes to make sure that, I mean, we do not incentivize those elements or those activity which is already being carried out here. So it's pretty much targeted to on focusing the domestic value addition. And as Secretary said, that's, I mean, we incentivize the performers. Therefore, there's an element of fungibility of the funds as well, depending upon who performs better, where we see more traction or interest of the applicants in various parts of the scheme. In the scheme guideline, which will be released, unveiled by our Honorable Minister today, this has also been formulated after intense industry consultation. You all have been a part of it. And taking the feedback from our earlier scheme, we have reduced the compliance burden and taken care of the ease of doing business element. And you will realize that it is, we have actually taken away a lot of unnecessary requirements which industry were required to meet even to kind of apply. And we have given opportunity to attract more and more investment. There is a provision that those even non-ESDM sector can also apply, but however, they will have to demonstrate the technical capability either through the acquiring technology or a partnering through the ESDM sector companies. And as Secretary mentioned, the scheme is designed on performance. You perform and government pays. That's the kind of a way the scheme is designed. And the FDI is permitted as per the FDI policy circular, and Ministry assures you of full support in getting the approvals and getting necessary clearance for the FDI in a relevant applications. And it's a completely end-to-end digital application. The portal is already ready. The Minister will be launching the portal, and on which you can apply from the 1st of May. And as our Minister directed, that leave no room for interpretation, give a full clarity to the industry. We have tried to achieve that, and hopefully we would meet your expectations as well. This is the qualification criteria which will be in the guidelines. As you see, both ESDM and non-ESDM can apply. However, there are different qualification turnover criteria for the ESDM and non-ESDM manufacturing companies. Those in ESDM, they need not demonstrate the technological capability, but those non-ESDM company, they will have to demonstrate the technological capabilities. And qualification criteria for those which are applying in the target segment D, which is purely for the capital support. The only requirement is that you ought to have a net worth up to the 50% of the proposed investment, and that's it. If the net worth is less than that, then we need a board resolution from that from your company stating that you will be able to raise necessary fund and indicating the sources of that from where you will be raising necessary investments. The three incentives, the application window is open for 3 months for the first two, which is the turnover linked as well as the hybrid one. For CAPEX, it is open for the 2 years, but it will all depend. I mean, they're clearly demarcated budget allocations for the 1-2 combined, and the CAPEX one is clearly demarcated and has been being spelled out in the guidelines clearly. And the incentive period is for 6 years, which also includes the gestation period of 1 year. With that, I'll end. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now our key industry partners will shed light on industry's response to the component scheme and the roadmap to make it successful. The Electronics Industries Association of India, ELSINA, has established itself as an interactive forum for electronics and IT manufacturers. ELSINA focuses on promoting manufacture of electronic components, industrial professional electronics, defense strategic electronics, electronic manufacturing services, and other expanding areas in electronics. May I invite Shri Atul Lal, former President ELSINA, to kindly share his thoughts.
Honorable Minister for Electronics and IT, Railways, Information and Broadcasting, Shri Ashwini Vaishnaw ji, Shri S. Krishnan ji, Secretary MeitY, Shri Sushil Pal ji, Joint Secretary MeitY, my colleagues from the industry on the dais, industry members, members of the diplomatic mission, members of the media. Good afternoon, everyone. So let me begin by expressing my heartfelt thanks to Honorable Minister and all those whose vision and hard work has made ECMS possible. Today is more than a policy launch. It is a milestone in India's journey towards self-reliant, future-ready electronics industry. With ECMS notified on 8th April 2025 and today's launch of scheme guidelines and portal, we mark a significant strategic leap in deepening our value addition and strengthening our domestic electronics value chain. So the government policy framework in past few years undoubtedly has triggered a massive growth in the industry. And today industry has conviction that whatever electronics products are being sold in India are largely being manufactured in India. And many categories are being exported. This ECMS, it pivots our spotlight onto the most foundational pillar of this ecosystem, that is component manufacturing. Components such as PCBs, passives, electromechanical parts, ferrites, lithium-ion cells, enclosures, display modules, camera modules, are the nuts, bolts, and brains of our devices. By sharply reducing reliance on imports and cushioning supply chain shocks, ECMS promises to fortify this framework and change the status quo. I would like to especially thank MeitY for the way this scheme has been drafted. It has been deeply collaborative and consultative. Right from the day one, we from the industry were so significantly involved. It was an amazing process, sir, and so encouraging and motivating for all of us. All the associations, ELSINA, MeitY, ICEA, we all had very significant deliberations. So we're very happy from ELSINA side that many of our recommendations, like inclusion of display and camera modules, have been included. So we had suggested that one size fits all kind of an approach will not work for electronic components industry because the financial matrix of each category is different, disabilities are different, balance sheets are different, and we are so grateful that our request has been accepted. And this 3-category incentive structure has been rolled out. One, the turnover linked support, which is for the high value, high volumes components such like modules and camera modules. It's going to derive economies of scale. It's going to cover up the disabilities, and hopefully we're going to become a part of the global value chain. CapEx-based incentives for some components and capital goods. The government has accepted that there are various categories of components where the financial structure is different. The CapExes are of much higher order, asset to turnover ratios are small, and it requires a CapEx-based subsidy. Third, the hybrid category, which blends both the approaches, providing manufacturers the flexibility to choose the model best suited for their businesses. Not only this, it encourages both the large industries and also the MSMEs. And we in ELSINA, large number of our members are from the MSME sector. Further, there is an employment-linked initiative there. And it has been so prudently and so fairly designed that we welcome it. And we in the industry are committed to generate this employment, sir. When I was drafting my speech, I was including this para that we will be working in ELSINA very closely with MeitY and also the state governments, approaching the potential domestic and foreign investors to invest and participate in the scheme But to be very candid, when I see the response, the kind of enthusiasm that the industry is having, possibly I feel that that success may not be required. There will be extremely encouraging participation of our members, the industry fraternity, in this scheme. So from Dixon side itself, we are committed to participate in at least 4 component categories. We are committed to it and will be making significant investments. So I wanted to conclude my speech with a shlok from the second adhyaya of Gita, which I felt is apt today. Karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma phal hetu bhurma tu sabotsav akarmani. You can claim any right only in action, not its fruit. Let not its fruit be your motive, do not ever turn back from action. So we assure you from industry side, Elsena side and Dixon side that we are committed to this journey of action. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The India Cellular and Electronics Association is one of the apex industry bodies representing India's electronics manufacturing sector, including mobile phones, consumer electronics, IT hardware, industrial electronics, strategic electronics, etc., along with their value chain. May I request Shri Pankaj Mohindru, Chairman, Indian Cellular and Electronics Association, to kindly share his perspectives.
Honorable Minister, Secretary Krishnan ji, Joint Secretary Sushil Pal ji, all my friends Atul, Ashok, Sanjay, and all the friends from the industry. In the morning, I got a call from one of the sectoral chambers, and little envious. He said, "Yaar, tum to matlab bade chadti kala mein raho to." But what the hell, you have such a great minister, you have such a great secretary, you have such a wonderful department, and the great support of PMO and the Prime Minister himself. So this is quite natural what is going on. I think what this gentleman didn't realize is the extraordinary hard work which all the entrepreneurs and all the leaders of the industry have done. And what a fantastic place MeitY is, which is a model for the rest of the government, that how it has worked, and the growth is indicative. The 500% growth in the last few years in electronics, and the extraordinary growth in the mobile phone industry, which has given so much great scale at $60 billion. Mobile phone has given scale to this electronic industry. And I think scale is everything. Scale brings this, what Atul said, that we may not need to do so much hard work as we were imagining. That is because of the scale today. You see, we were going after value addition for some time, but what has happened is that value addition will come naturally now. As the scale has happened with the foundational industries which are being set up, like semiconductors, display, PCB, cells, this will naturally happen now that value addition will start happening. If you see what the China electronic industry has been able to do in smartphones, the leading product, it's at about 35-40% value addition after 3 decades of very solid work. And this is what I think now we are attempting to do in the next 5 years. So quite good that we'll be able to achieve this. The growth from 135 billion, I think whenever Ashwini ji sees us, this number 500 is always crossing in his mind, that how are we going to achieve that 500 billion. And I want to assure him today that India will not be one-leg industry, electronic industry. We'll fire on all cylinders, sir. Mobile phones will double. IT hardware, I know we are struggling with it, laptops, tablets, etc. Now there is a, dono haath mein laddu. We have the IT hardware PLI and we have the support of this. And we are going to rediscuss that whole strategy around IT hardware, how to start doing export from here. And as the secretary said, the geopolitical events are very monumental. I think we are looking to be in a sweet spot. Consumer electronics, third one, very important segment. We have achieved domestic success, some success. And hearable wearables, auto electronics, secretary alluded to many of them. All these gaps which we had in our mix, we are going to fill those gaps now, very meticulously, with a lot of hard work. Atul mentioned that, the Gita Shalok. I have a word for the financial analysts there. I see some of them there. You see, you have to change your mindset. The entrepreneurs cannot just chase valuations. I'm just coming back from Vietnam. The industry and the government, you are confused who is government and who is industry. It's one nation. And this mindless chase for valuation, and creating this hype about valuations. What Dixon, Amber, Keynes, Sirma have been able to do is a decade of hard work, and this meeting we had with 40 analysts, I was absolutely furious when one of them asked me that, increased value addition will mean lower return on investment. Please, I beg you, change your mindset. Because this Wall Street kind of thing is not setting the right example for the entrepreneurs. What we are here for today requires capital investment, it requires technology, and it requires patience. So it's very important that we all work together and see that we are able to establish this in a proper manner. The market access, I think the bilateral trade agreement, I have not seen India rallying together so passionately. It's unbelievable. And I think the bilateral trade agreement will be a great agreement. And it will set a very solid foundation between the largest economy buying $3,000 billion worth of merchandise and more than $500 billion worth of electronics. I'm very happy to tell you that Saigal Sparsh has just installed 100 5G cameras in the T-Mobile towers. That's the kind of opportunity. I think all of us have to camp there. All of us have to camp there and see that we are able to grab our due share of this market. Atul talked about states. I think UP is here, the great UP, the Secretary Alok Kumar is here. Please, could you just... Alok is tasked with the $1 trillion vision of UP. And UP is our natural Karambhumi. The 50% of the mobiles are made here. And this state has to rise. And I think with the double engine, it'll rise. Of course, there are other very, very good states who are competing fiercely, where our industry is housed. All these, some of these states where we already have large enterprises like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Gujarat is becoming the hub of the semiconductor industry now. So the states will compete very fiercely. And I think the states will also give us packages, stimulus packages, investment packages. I'm no longer calling them subsidies because these are the best investments the states can do for their citizens, and to become a very large electronic industry. On the capital goods, I have something very important to mention to the entrepreneurs. In Vietnam, Vietnam is a very big rice manufacturing country. 100% of the rice manufacturing equipment comes from China. We are very competitive in most of the machines, which are mechanical and electrical. Vikram is nodding furiously because they are going to work with us along with Indian Institute of Science. But there are some machines which are electronic, like the color sorter. Yeah. So that front, on the industrial electronic front, I think there's a capital good front. We will analyze and come out with a whole package of what we need to do further. And that is a sector we have to energize. 50,000 crores of investment doesn't look too difficult. I think we should be able to snap it up very quickly. The pipeline is already quite rich, and we will see those applications hitting us quickly. I'm wonderfully optimistic, and thank you once again, all the team in MeitY and the associations, and the wonderful leadership of our minister and our secretary for making this happen. Thank you.
Thanks very much. The India Electronics and Semiconductor Association is spearheading India's semiconductor and electronics manufacturing industry growth by fostering local and global collaborations and partnerships, upskilling and supporting startups, MSMEs, and academia. I now invite Shri Ashok Chandak, President IESA, to articulate his views.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Union Minister Shri Ashwini Vaishnaw ji, MeitY Secretary Mr. Krishnan, Joint Secretary Mr. Pal, my industry association friends on the dais, the audience, all the industry captains, leaders, investment community, everyone. The presence of all of you indicates surely this is the most important scheme in the country. And what we see clearly is this marks a very important milestone that will bolster the India's manufacturing and product creation ecosystem. And I'm underlining the word product creation because this is the next big thing which India need to work on, while increasing the local value addition and also complementing the Semicon India scheme which was already launched and already gaining a lot of momentum. ISA, which is working with the 400 members association, has recently joined hands with SEMI globally, and there are 3,500 more members globally as a part of the industry body. And together, we have already started to work and made a plan as how we look forward now, what can be done so that this scheme is promoted and its impact is enhanced. So today I will share in brief, there are 4 points what we are going to do looking forward. The importance of the scheme is already known to all of you. It's well known, but obviously, surely we are thankful to MeitY for taking the inputs from various industry bodies, industry players, everybody, and make it a very robust, sustainable, competitive manufacturing, advantage-oriented scheme with outcome-oriented payouts. There are a few things which we are going to do together as a ISA SEMI. The first one is the international collaborations. We do believe this particular scheme's success and overall electronic semiconductor success is also needs the global collaborations and partnerships. So through our MOUs with multiple countries and with semi-global network, we are started working on getting those global players setting up their operations or technology transfers, joint venture, whatever the form may be, so that this is expanded and accelerated in a faster way. We already taken the steps. For example, last month when we had a ISA Vision Summit event at Gandhinagar, Gujarat, in that we already conducted 7 country roundtables and very hit item actually. Almost 280 foreign delegates came out for that event. And not only semiconductor, but the electronics ecosystem and the components is a part of the discussion. And we want to take this forward so that these things get accelerated further. And good thing is that delegation included not only the global big companies, but also small, medium enterprises. So that we continue. Second point we are working on is the sales distribution warehousing support. once this component industry gains momentum, manufacturing starts, it will also need extensive support of the logistics, that's warehousing and a distribution of the components, not only in India, but globally. Now, with our member community that includes most of the India distributors, including the global distributors, we are committing that we will take this forward so that whatever is manufactured in India finds the right marketplace, every corner of the country, and also globally. The third point of our strategy is the state-level engagements, where we are working as a knowledge partner with multiple states. And I don't want to call out the names actually, but many of you are aware. And we want to really take this forward actually, along with the states. Those are rolling out lucrative policies and very eager that the electronics and semiconductor industry steps up and starts setting up the operations, manufacturing, design centers, GCC expansions, everything works together actually over there, including this product creation topic, which is getting much more emphasis. And the fourth topic which we are looking at now, this is all global collaboration which will work out. With that, we have really made a very clear roadmap and a strategy as how do we take this component manufacturing scheme further. And I call this as a winning trio. So the PLI, which is for the component manufacturing scheme, electronics manufacturing, plus the Semicon India program, DLI and other support activities as the second point. And the third one is the state level policies actually. This is a winning trio, which really gives us a very competitive and a sustainable advantage to build towards our $500 billion goal of electronics industry. And by that time, we also expect the semiconductor demand itself will be about $100 billion plus, and electronics component demand will be again $125 billion plus. So we are looking forward to the really major step up, and all together with all of you, I'm sure we will be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With the objective to develop, maintain, and accelerate ICT and electronics design and manufacturing ecosystem that will transform India into a digital economy and a global manufacturing hub, the Manufacturers Association for Information Technology, MeitY, was established. I would like to request Shri Sanjay Lodha, Vice President MeitY, to kindly highlight how the ECM scheme will help in shaping the future of India's electronics component manufacturing sector.
Honorable Shri Ashwini Vaishnaw ji, Minister, Honorable Shri Krishnan ji, Secretary MeitY, Shri Sushil Pal ji, and other distinguished guests, industry leaders and colleagues. It's an honor to represent MeitY and the company I founded in 1999, Network Technologies, at this historic launch of electronic component manufacturing scheme. I begin by expressing my deepest gratitude to MeitY for their visionary leadership in crafting this transformative initiative. Today marks a definite moment in our journey towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. The ECMS is not just a policy. It is a strategic intervention to address one of the sector's more persistent challenges, our dependence on imported components. By incentivizing the domestic production of critical inputs, from passive components to electromechanical parts, the scheme will strengthen our supply chain resilience, reduce import reliance, and elevate India's position in global value chain. Most appreciative part about MeitY's PLI framework has been the methodological approach followed to make India an electronics manufacturing nation. From my personal experience, as I have been fortunate enough to have attended some of the very initial discussions held with the industry after 2014 to discuss manufacturing of IT hardware in India, and I vividly remember that some of the companies had highlighted why India can't succeed with this concept and the policies, but where India has erred in today, the world is suing that. I must say, it is a strong leadership of the Government of India and untiring efforts of teams at MeitY that has made this possible. Out of the many examples of outstanding outcomes of successful MeitY's policy, one such example is NetWeb, where we take pride in one of the India's leading homegrown IT manufacturers now exporting to other countries as well. Our world-class work in space of basically designing SMT and production of high-performance computer servers, NVIDIA Grace-based architecture GPU servers, AI servers, exemplifies precisely the kind of indigenous innovation this scheme aims to foster. And I would like to assure you that basically I've been hearing, I'm one of the examples who have been receiving the PLIs. The government has been basically, MeitY has been following up with me for documentation and everything. Rather than it has been a very, very smooth process. We have been receiving PLIs absolutely in time. And basically, I think somebody mentioned on IT hardware part, basically the PLI scheme. We were recipients in the first part also. We are recipients on the second part also. And basically, I really thank MeitY for their efforts. We never feel that we are dealing with the government. I would like to assure the world that what government promises, they deliver. The ECMS is testament to MeitY's visionary leadership. Its well-calibrated incentives spanning turnover-linked, capex-linked, and hybrid models are designed to attract both domestic and global investments in this high-potential sector. By focusing on sub-assemblies, bare PCBs, and other foundational elements, the scheme ensures that India builds a holistic ecosystem and not just end product assembly. This initiative also signals a strategic evolution from Make in India to Make for the World by nurturing a robust component manufacturing base. We are laying the groundwork for India to become a trusted global supplier for electronics. The emphasis on employment generation and skill development further ensures that the growth is inclusive and sustainable. To MeitY, we say, your leadership has set the stage. Industry is ready to perform. MeitY stands firmly behind this initiative and urges all stakeholders, OEM, component manufacturers, and investors to seize this opportunity. Let us collaborate and turn this vision into reality. To further this dialogue, MeitY is organizing an industry roundtable on April 30th, 2025 at NCUI campus in New Delhi. We invite all component manufacturers and ecosystem partners to join this critical discussion and shape the future of electronic manufacturing in India. Together, let's build an India that doesn't consume technology but creates it for ourselves and for the world. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now request the Honorable Minister for Electronics and IT, Railways and Information and Broadcasting, Shri Ashwini Vaishnaw ji, to kindly release the guidelines on the Electronics Component Manufacturing Scheme. May I also request the Honorable Minister to kindly launch the portal for Electronics Component Manufacturing Scheme with the click of a button. Harnessing the full potential of technological advancements and ensuring India remains competitive in the global AI innovation landscape requires India to invest in the development of its own large AI models that are trained on Indian datasets and languages. Development of an Indian foundation model is a critical pillar under Government of India's India AI mission that aims to develop and deploy indigenous large multimodal models, LLMs, that will be trained on India-specific data. India AI launched a call for proposals to support the development of indigenous foundation AI models, that is large multimodal models, LLMs or SLMs, trained on Indian datasets on 30th January 2025. The proposals were invited from startups, researchers, and entrepreneurs to collaborate and build state-of-the-art foundational AI models. and an astounding 400 plus proposals have been received. Subsequently, from 67 proposals received till 15 February, following a rigorous evaluation process, the first selected startup has been shortlisted to build India's indigenous foundation AI model. There will, of course, be many more enterprising startups to follow. May I now request Honorable Minister Shri Ashwini Vaishnaw ji to kindly announce the name of the first startup selected for building indigenous AI foundational model for the India AI mission.
The first foundational model, first LLM under the India AI mission will be done by Sarvam AI. How, Abhishek? Come.
Dr. Vivek Raghavan and Dr. Pratyush Kumar from Sarvam AI and Shri Abhishek Singh, CEO India AI Mission and Additional Secretary MeitY, and Ms. Kavita Bhatia, COO India AI Mission, to kindly come on the stage.
Say it in front of everybody. How many months?
So we'll get it done within 6 months, even less.
He has committed.
Thank you so much, everyone. We are very grateful to you, sir, Shri Ashwini Vaishnaw ji, and the dignitaries present for this significant launches. It is my honor and privilege to invite Shri Ashwini Vaishnaw ji, Honorable Minister for Electronics and Information Technology, Railways and Information and Broadcasting, to kindly deliver the keynote address.
Thank you. Friends, just about 10 years ago, if we were to hold a conference of this type, it would have been difficult to get 5 people in the room. Today we have problem of people not being able to find seats. That's the progress which has happened in the last 10 years. My colleagues in the ministry, Secretary Krishnan, Joint Secretary Sushil Palji, Additional Secretary Abhishek, all the officials, participants from the industry, Pankaj ji, Atul ji, Ashok ji, Sanjay ji, and all the other friends sitting on within the audience, participants from various state governments, participants from various other ministries. I thank you all for being part of this journey. This journey has been very exciting. I'll make 4 or 5 points, very short points. First point is, we have a very clearly thought out strategy for developing the electronics industry in our country. हमारी इस strategy में, I hope our friends can help the international audience in translation. I'll try to speak Hindi and English combined. हमारी इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की स्ट्रैटेजी में एक क्लियर थॉट प्रोसेस है. इस थॉट प्रोसेस को समझना ज़रूरी है जिससे कि हम सब समझ सकें आने वाले समय में किस तरह की और हमारे इनिशिएटिव्स आएंगे. Our thought process is, we began with the finished product. It was very important to get the finished products in, because without that the volume can never be obtained. The finished product always brings the volume and the basic confidence of an industry to get into the downward integration mode. So that's why we started with the finished products. Once we have a good volume of the finished products, then we can very quickly get into the module level manufacturing in our country. Once we have module level manufacturing, then we can look at individual component level manufacturing. Once we have component level manufacturing, then we can look at material manufacturing, manufacturing the materials which go into manufacturing the components, which go into manufacturing the modules, which go into manufacturing the finished goods. That's the way any industry evolves. I'll give you a couple of examples from outside electronics so that many of our friends who sometimes without understanding the thought process try to criticize, they may also be able to understand. I'll give the example from railways. In railways, we created a program by which world-class locomotives with the latest generation, latest technology, they started getting manufactured, first assembled in the country as finished goods, then the supply chain behind that started getting established, and today those finished goods have practically 80-85% of the value chain behind them in the country. And they are now looking at exporting the finished product out of India. That's the way it always happens. So those from some of the media houses who sometimes without understanding this entire thought process tend to criticize, may please take note of this entire thought process. That was my first point. My second point is the volume which has happened, which has got created in the last 10 years, that's phenomenal success story. Our electronics manufacturing has grown 5 times in the last 10 years. Our exports have grown 6 times in the last 10 years. These are CAGRs of 17%, 18%, 20% plus. Phenomenal growth. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. The initial effort which is required to get that momentum, that is what has happened so far. This is the time when this industry will take off like this. The initial momentum is there. जो मेहनत शुरू में एक नई इंडस्ट्री को इस्टेब्लिश करने में लगती है, वो मेहनत लग चुकी है. अब इसकी ग्रोथ और भी रैपिड होगी. Mobile phones, we have seen the success. Servers, we have seen the success. Recently, I visited a manufacturing facility. The international buyer from that facility said that not a single server was having any defect, any problem, and this was the 6,000th server, large machines. So Pankaj was saying IT hardware is progressing very well. Laptop manufacturing, I visited in Chennai some time back. Excellent facility, very good progress. Whether it is laptops, whether it is servers, whether it is mobile phones, everywhere there is very good progress. And now the major initiative our Prime Minister has taken is about electronic components. The nature of this scheme has to be understood. It is a horizontal scheme. It is a horizontal scheme. This will feed into all verticals: medical electronics, industrial electronics, power electronics, automobile electronics, hardcore electronics, right? It will feed into everything. That's why it's very important for our country. And this is where our complete ecosystem is now getting into place. Finished goods, active components through the semiconductor mission, passive components through the electronics component manufacturing scheme. Now I request, my third point, I want to make a request to the industry. Some of you have done very well in setting up your design teams, but not all. I'll request each and every one of the participants in this scheme must set up a design team. We have not included that as a formal criteria of approval, but I am saying in front of you that will be like informal criteria of approval. If you don't have design team, and even if you are fulfilling all your parameters, we will not approve you. Design teams have to be set up. There are some wonderful, very good entrepreneurs who have set up design teams of 5,000 people, 5,000 design engineers in one company. Why can't everybody emulate that kind of example? Please set up design teams, because I am telling you again, this is just the beginning of the electronics industry's growth. What you are going to see in the next 5 years will be phenomenal change. If you are not prepared for it, you will be left out. So set up design teams, get the latest design tools, make sure that you continuously strive to do backward integration. One example I'll give you without naming the company. For the components, they are also now manufacturing the dies. Dies which were earlier imported, now they have started manufacturing. The plant got inaugurated very recently. They are now manufacturing the dies and the tools which go into manufacturing those dies. That's the level which we will see in our country in the coming years. So be prepared for that journey is my request to all the industry. That was my third point. My last and final point is, please achieve 6 Sigma quality in everything that you do. Nothing less than 6 Sigma will be tolerated. We will be evaluating your progress not just on the manufacturing volume, but also on the quality that you produce. And I'm requesting Secretary Saab, it's not there in the formal scheme, but in the informal evaluation, those who do not perform on quality will be cut short in between. Please take that as a very clear method of evaluation for you. So design team and 6 Sigma quality minimum. Minimum 6 Sigma quality we must achieve as a team. And without that the world will not respect us. Until we achieve that level of quality, the world will not respect us. I'll give another example from a different sector. Large molds for manufacturing 1,000-ton girders, extremely high quality, extremely high finish. Our own manufacturers today started producing those, and some of them, a couple of them, have started exporting smaller versions of those. That's possible in our country. That's the power of our entrepreneurs. That's the level which our people can achieve. Question is how much effort we are willing to put in. And to help you put in that effort, we will evaluate on design teams and quality parameters also. Apart from your turnover and employment, we will also evaluate you on quality and design teams. So friends, be a part of this journey. I'm also very glad today the first step in our own foundational model has started. Sarvam, congratulations to you. And this is just the first one. This is just the first one. There are many more energetic entrepreneurs and startups and academicians who are very, very committed towards developing more models. What's important is this model will have 70 billion parameters and many innovations in programming as well as engineering. with those innovations, a 70 billion parameter can compete with some of the best in the world. That's the thought process going behind this model, and that's why this model was selected as the first one off the block. I'm also happy to share with you about 70 Abhishek, कितने AI कोश में? कितना? 350, sorry. 3 each, every day I must get updated. 350 data sets have been uploaded in AI Kosh, which was launched a few 6 March, right? It's very fast moving world, right? 6th March it was launched, and today we have 350 data sets which are already uploaded in AI Kosh, and also the tools, the technologies we had requested the IITs and other institutes for developing under the AI Safety Institute initiative. 4 of them are almost complete. The tools have got developed, and very soon we'll be launching those tools also. Look at our approach. How different this approach is and how innovative this approach is. Our Prime Minister always tells us that have a bias towards innovation, make sure that our people get the opportunities to create tools and technologies which can then be taken to the world. So unlike some geographies, without naming them, where the approach is to, if you have a problem, make a law. Instead of that, we are saying, yes, if there is an issue, we'll develop a techno-legal solution. So technology plus law plus legal, that's a much better way of looking at these problems. Friends, I wish you all very good success in this new policy, ECMS. This will, given what I have got the briefing from the ministry officials, looks like there is a very strong pipeline of projects already up and running, ready to be approved within very short time frame. So wish you all the best. Keep generating employment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We have now come to the conclusion of the launch of the guidelines and portal for the ECM scheme. On behalf of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology and National E-Governance Division, I thank you all for attending this event. Thanks very much once again. Lunch will be served in the pre-function area, Mansingh 1 and 2 for everybody. Thank you once again.
कुछ नहीं होता। सर इनके दूसरे बंदे को देना था।